Well, hello again. I'm Noah, and this is Julia. Super stoked to have Julia join me for Employee Horror Stories episode 3. So, today's episode is not for the faint of heart. We'll hear all about the spoils of efficient employees. A spoiler alert, it's not their time back. User Inevitable Homework shared their terrible tale of bad management. Our team used to have 3 people: manager, coworker, and me. The workload was balanced and we got along well. Then our manager resigned for a better position elsewhere. Management promised to find a replacement, and they'd appreciate it if the both of us could split her duties for now. For now. Our workloads were increasing week after week. I declined taking on more by citing how full my current plate is. My coworker, however, was oddly jumping at the chance of taking on more projects. Stay with me, this one's a long one. Then my coworker submitted his resignation. I found out later that he was denied a promotion, and so he found another place with better benefits, salary, and a functioning team. It's very key there.
Good for him.
Yes. I was informed that I would be taking on his workload, so in total I would have 2 executive roles and 1 manager's role of responsibilities. I would talk about raise, promotion, or even when they'd get a replacement. I started looking elsewhere. Shocker.
Yes, makes sense.
Received a great offer just 1 week after submitting my resignation letter with a 35% raise and better benefits. My last day is next week. The department is low-key panicking. I'm going to probably say high-key panicking, as they can't find someone else to replace us both so soon. All right, let's dig into this.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot here. Julia, how will you jump in first?
This feels like an all too familiar tale of we can get by, which maybe you can at first, but at what cost? Clearly for this employee, it was at the cost of them taking on way more than they wanted to, probably feeling underappreciated because they're asked to take on way more with no raise, no promotion, probably maybe a pat on the back if they're lucky.
Maybe a thank you, maybe a pizza party.
Oh my, what a lucky, why are they complaining? No, so this feels like a very familiar tale, especially right now in this economy of companies trying to peel back and do more with less and all these kinds of things. But organizations often forget, and what this organization is facing right now is that there is a cost to making these decisions.
And that cost is employee burnout, higher turnover, and then you're stuck with, well, what do we do? We've just lost key employees who are taking on all this extra responsibility, and I guarantee you it's going to be more expensive to hire a new replacement. Plus, you got to ramp them up, train them up, and hopefully they stick around for more than a year. So not only are you paying more for a new person who has less experience, you're also losing all that institutional knowledge that those key employees have taken with them.
And not to mention current state where there's no one doing 3 roles.
Yeah, then those get piled onto other employees who get burnt out faster, and it kind of is like a domino effect, where instead of a straight line, it's like a flower unfolding. If you're losing people and you're asking other people to take on more responsibilities, make sure there's an end date to that responsibility. Sometimes you just can't. Financial implications, everyone's cutting jobs, economy's not very good right now, but there needs to be an end date, or a promotion, or a salary increase, or something to acknowledge that this person has taken on more responsibilities. Also from Reddit, we have user Elequi responded with their own similar story. Came into a group of 2 people who were drowning. With 3 people, the work was split evenly and no one was overworked. Then my manager began picking on one of my colleagues. My colleague got sick of it and ended up taking a lateral job position, so they just toxic manager right here. Now back to 2 people, except my other colleague was ready to retire. Our manager knew about her retirement for 2 years.
Oh no.
Then it's a week before her retirement. I asked about replacements. First worker was never replaced, so who are we hiring? My boss tells me I'll be handling 100% of the jobs that used to take 3 people, plus I'll also be handling budgets. Nope. I put in my 2 weeks. Last I heard they're paying double for contractors who didn't know.
Well, I was going to say, this is like a week before what our first horror story wrote in with.
Exactly.
Right? Which is like, wait, I'm being asked to do what?
And this person just straight up was like, no, I'm just going to quit. There's no world in which I'm going to take on that much work, plus more. And again, probably no mention of salary increase, title change, promotion, nothing.
I can see why, right? You don't want to work for somewhere that is so irresponsible that they know about something happening for 2 years and they don't do anything until a week before.
Well, they didn't do anything then.
They didn't do anything then either. Yeah, it's true. She had to decide a week before. Yeah, why would you want to work for somewhere that's so disorganized or doesn't think far ahead and that kind of it just doesn't feel like that would be a very good place to work.
It's succession planning 101. If you know someone's going to leave in a couple of years, you start
training,
skill developing. You get someone to shadow that person for like 6 months, a year. Just be like, you know what? This is your junior person. They're going to take over that role in a year. Then that person has a clear career path. They know what salary they're going to be making, and they've got a timeline for it. It's really not a hard thing to do.
Does it mention how long the person who's retiring had been with the company?
It does not.
Okay.
But I assume if you're retiring, you've been there for a while.
You would assume. And so then there's all that institutional knowledge that just like, you can't hire a new person and expect them to be at that level, even in 6 months.
Yeah, I think this goes back to like the Gallup reports and last reports of like boomers who are retiring. They want those opportunities to download all that information onto somebody.
Totally.
Like they want to take those last year, 2 years of before they retire to mentor and coach someone who's going to take their job over when they leave. That's what they want to do. So not only are you having a nice replacement, you're not having any of that problems, but you're also boosting the engagement of that person who's close to retirement. And probably, let's be honest, when someone's close to retirement, you might start calling it in at the end of the day.
Well, I was going to suggest maybe the opposite, which is where like, if you've been there for a while and it's something you really care about, like you want to see the organization do well. You want to see, say you started a bunch of programs and made a bunch of great stuff happen. Like you want to see your legacy live on at that organization. And if you have no one to pass that to, you're sort of like, well, sayonara, I guess that's the end of that program. And that would be a really crappy end of your tenure somewhere.
Also for Reddit, Underwear11 replied, my current peer was verbally given a promotion early last year. Always a strong sign. He did the job for 6 months under the promise of back pay for those 6 months. Also a strong sign. Surprise! He didn't get the back pay and found out his pay was significantly less than that of everyone equal to him. His current boss gave raises to his current employees that exceed his pay. So this is a person that's taken on more responsibility, promised a promotion, promised back pay, is paid less than his peers, and then sees his peers who are already making more money than him get promoted ahead of him.
Leave. Is there more?
No, that's it.
That's it.
I'm pretty sure they left.
Good. That just seems so whack.
I put this to bad management and employee exploitation, which you see in a lot of organizations. It's the short-term, short-sighted goal setting of like, well, if I can squeeze as much out of this person in the next 6 months, great. If I don't have to pay them more, I'm going to string them along with verbal promises. The problem with that is employees talk. You can't assume people aren't going to talk about their pay, that they're not going to talk about their promotions, that they're not going to share that information with each other. Like, there's no secrets in an organization as much as we would like there to be, or executives would like there to be, or people or companies that are trying to hide something would like there to be. There's not. People talk. And people will find out when they're not being treated fairly.
And it's not even gossip anymore. Like it's a lot of talks of kind of like how women can support each other in the workplace for pay equity is like share what you make. Sharing this and having it be known across departments and levels is like one of the best ways to push for pay equity.
I know one software developer, whenever he joins a new team or company, he goes to every person on his team. He creates a spreadsheet using his personal email and all of their personal emails, and they all put their pay in, and they all update it whenever they get promotions. So everyone on that team knows where everyone else stands at any given period in time. And it's just like his way of being like, let's all make sure we're getting taken care of together, folks.
That's
like,
awesome.
To this date, no one has said no to that. Like no one else on his team has been like, I don't want to share my pay. They're all like, oh, this is awesome.
Benefits them.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And so, pay transparency is coming in more and more states and provinces and countries around the world. And so companies that hide behind those opaque screens around pay aren't going to be able to do that for much longer. And they're going to have to be reactive to those things. It's better to be proactive, get ahead of the conversation, train people about it, and have them really understand what they're being paid and why. The other thing is just like, don't make promises you can't keep.
Yeah. Don't say we're going to get you there in 6 months, 100%, and have nothing to show for that.
They don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. And maybe the manager, probably not, but maybe they really wanted to get this person there in 6 months, but they didn't get approval from HR or finance or whatever. But yeah, don't make promises you can't keep. Tell them, I don't know when I can get you there. I'll do everything I can. Let's make it a conversation. Let's do everything we can together to get you to that promotion. Make it a team goal, not just their goal.
And not that employees should have to do this, because you should not be dealing with managers that lie or misconstrue things, but always trying to get these things in writing will really help, even though it shouldn't be your responsibility. You got to look out for yourself too. And so if someone's saying you will definitely do that in 6 months, say, okay, great. Let's write that down.
Okay, that's it, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Please comment below, share your own horror stories. We now have an email set up that you can do that, horrorstories@guusto.com. So if you want to share something anonymously, just send us an email. Horrorstories, all one word, at Guusto.com. Retaining staff isn't rocket science. Recognize hard work with raises, promotions, time back. It doesn't always have to be cash. If you have a bad manager, if you have an HR team you don't really like, maybe just flip them this link. Like maybe they'll watch us. Maybe they'll get something out of it. Until next time, keep your head down, keep working hard, and hopefully someone's saying thank you today.